Welcome to Carnivore Sunday School. I'm John Laspina, your carnivore teacher, and we have with us also our regular Juliet Edens, who runs the show, literally, and we have our wonderful friend George Goodenough. I don't know if Lainey's there in the background, but hey. And we have a special guest today. Her name is Lauren Tucker, and she has just popped up on the screen. Hi, Lauren. How you doing? I'm John.
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. Sorry, I had technical issues. I'm really not very good with technology.
That's okay. Are you on a phone?
But I'm here now. I'm here now. Sorry.
Are you streaming using are you using your phone as the camera?
Yeah, phone, yeah.
Can you turn your camera sideways?
Yep.
There you go.
I can make it now. There we go.
That's much better. Thank you so much. Anyway, we're live, and you came right at time, ready to go. And we're really excited to have you here today because we have a special guest every Sunday. And what we normally do is we go around clockwise and we introduce ourselves with a very quick intro explaining who we are and maybe how long we've been carnivore. And then we get to our special guest and we get to ask you all about you. And then you have the microphone and you fill us in on how you're doing. So we'll start up there top left with Juliet Edens.
Hi, I'm Juliet Edens. On YouTube, you know me as Coach Juliet Edens. I've been carnivore for 16 to 18 months, depending if you count drinking alcohol while you are carnivore. It doesn't matter. I've been clean and sober well over a year and doing great on carnivore, reversed a lot of metabolic diseases or conditions, and I am just loving the carnivore lifestyle. I feel good.
All right, I'm John Laspina, carnivore teacher. I've been carnivore for 3 years, and before that, I was also low carb and keto. So I'm kind of going on 8 years of living this way, and a lot of things have healed in my body. Won't go through the list right now. Lost some weight and just a lot of amazing changes, so much so that I'm not teaching middle school anymore. I'm retired. I'm teaching about the carnivore diet on YouTube and social media. So anybody who's looking for answers or wants to know how to start or questions, lots and lots of questions about the carnivore diet, I'm here to help you. How you doing, George?
Yep, I'm George Goodenough. I'm 60 years of age. I live in the town of Bridgewater in the county of Somerset in England. My journey, I always date back to the 1st of March 2022 when I had a disastrous set of bloods, which led me into the research into how to reverse my metabolic conditions, which was type 2 diabetes and morbid obesity and high triglycerides. I transitioned through low carb and keto, and eventually joined the carnivore community courtesy of a carnivore soldier, Larry Allhands, in August of 23. I made my second friend in the carnivore community on October the 3rd of 23. And that person and I joined forces, and together we have very much grown the UK community. And we are now essentially both global ambassadors for the UK, for the UK. My friend who I joined with on October the 30th is actually a star in the film Healing Humanity. She is also a great friend of Kerry's and of Dr. Kilt's, and also my very great friend as well, who's on the committee with me for the UK meetup. So yeah, that's my story really. And I think it's really time to hand over to my friend, Lauren.
Oh, thank you, George. Yeah, I'm Lauren. I'm also from Somerset in the UK, not very far from George. I reckon about 40 minutes by car, George, is it? Not very far.
I can tell you, I've done the journey to your house, so it's 28 miles exactly, and it's about an hour if you're driving carefully.
Yeah, not very far. And I have been carnivore since May 2023, so now approaching my 3-year carniversary.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, tell us how you started changing your life. What was your life like before carnivore? Any health issues? What led you down the road to changing the way you eat?
So I grew up eating standard American diet. I would have classed my food growing up as healthy. I wouldn't have said it was bad. My mum home cooked all the food, and I was very lucky like that. But I did have a lot of processed food in between. As a child, I wasn't a well child. I suffered with ear infections, tonsillitis, things that I were UTIs, things that I was requiring antibiotics for, like multiple times a year. I probably was on antibiotics three to 5 times a year, with ear infections, UTIs, all of these things, chest infections as well, asthmatic. So yeah, I wasn't really a well child on the standard American diet, but it wasn't until 2021, the later end of 2020, beginning of 21, that I became really, really poorly. Now, I had suffered things throughout my teenage years and my 20s as well. I'm now 32. But things that I just had every day that I now know isn't normal, but things that I just used to think was part of being a human being, things like ulcers in the mouth, arthritic. I felt like I was arthritic. It never got diagnosed, but I felt like I had arthritis. Tinnitus was another thing. Verrucas, athlete's foot, all of these things that I just thought was part of being a human being. Just humans get that. Anyway, later part of 2020, beginning part of 2021, I became really poorly with a lump in my throat, which they call LPR, or some people know it as silent reflux. This started off just as a bit of a nuisance, a bit of an annoyance, that I just felt like I had a lump feeling in my throat, and this later developed to the point where I couldn't swallow. So I wasn't eating. I actually struggled to eat, so I came off of food completely, and it got to the point where I had to go to the doctor and find out what was going on. Doctor thought that it could have been strep throat or acid reflux. They didn't know which one. At this time, they weren't seeing anybody, so they didn't even look in my throat. This is over the phone. And they didn't know if it was strep throat or acid reflux, so they decided to medicate me for both. So I got put on PPI, omeprazole, and I also got put on antibiotics in case it was strep throat. So at the time, I will just mention, I absolutely relied on the doctors, and anything that they said was gospel. My life literally in their hands. I was quite happy with that. I came away from that telephone appointment feeling quite hopeful that they've covered all angles. If it's strep throat, I've got the antibiotics. If it's acid reflux, I've got the PPIs. So I started taking both medications. A week later, still nothing had changed, still really poorly. And in fact, I'm getting worse at this point. I was just at the point where I was really struggling to swallow any food. At this point, I was eating Weetabix with milk, all mushed down, because that was the only thing that I could swallow comfortably. So I was having that multiple times a day, and that was mainly the only thing I was eating. So yeah, a week gone by, no difference. A little bit disheartened because I thought I had the medication that was going to heal me. Knew it wasn't strep throat because the antibiotics hadn't cleared it. So I called the doctor back, and they said, yeah, it must be acid reflux. So they then put me on a higher dose of omeprazole. So instead of I think it was 20 milligrams, I went up to 40 milligrams. So again, feeling very hopeful. I thought perhaps they just haven't put me on the right dose. So now I've got this higher dose that everything's going to get better and I'm going to be well. Started taking the higher dose of omeprazole. Again, a week or so later, just no change. So back on the phone to the doctor, who then put me in for endoscopy, camera down the throat into the stomach. I had endoscopy, and that revealed that I had grade A esophagitis, and the reason that I had the feeling in my of the lump in my throat was where my esophagus had essentially been burnt by the acid that had come back up, and they could see lots of scarring, and my esophagus was essentially closed with scar tissue, hence the trouble of swallowing food down. So I came away from having the endoscopy, and I will just add in quickly, because I just find this fascinating to this day when I look back at this. I came out of having that procedure. I had sedation to have that procedure to make it a little bit more comfortable, which was still very uncomfortable, by the way. It was not a nice procedure. I came out, so I was a little bit sedated. My husband at the time picked me up. And I got in the car, and he said, well, what did they say? And I said, oh, I don't actually know. I haven't had it, like, nobody said anything to me. I've just had this procedure and I've just come away. And I think from having a sedation, I didn't even think to ask or anything like that. But I had this piece of paper in my hand. So I opened the piece of paper, and this piece of paper said that the diagnosis was grade A esophagitis. And that was pretty much it. So I had no idea what esophagitis was. So I had to come home and I had to type into Google grade A esophagitis to find out for myself what that meant, because no one had explained this to me. I found out what it was, and then I thought, well, that's all very well. I've got my diagnosis, but what's my treatment? So I phoned the hospital back up and said, I've been in for an endoscopy, and it says that I've got grade A esophagitis. Like, what now? And they said, well, you're already on the treatment for that, which is the omeprazole. So I explained to them that that hasn't worked. So they said, well, that's fine. We'll double your dose. So now I'm essentially having double original dose. So I started off with just 20 milligram in the morning. Then they put me up to the 40 milligrams in the morning. And now I'm having, after the procedure, they told me to go to 40 milligrams twice a day. So they said that should do it. So again, I was still really hopeful, just hoping that they'd put me on the wrong dose from the beginning, and thought, this is it now. I'm going to have up the omeprazole and it's going to heal me. Did that, and guess what? I wasn't healed. Just getting worse and worse. And at this time, I'm rapidly losing weight. So a good weight for me, I sit around 9 to 9.5 stone, and that's where I look good and sit well. At this point, I was nearly 7 stone, so I'd lost a lot of weight. And for me, anybody that knows me would know that 7 stone is teeny weeny, and I was just skin and bone. It was not nice. So it wasn't getting better. At this point, I was really frustrated, because obviously I couldn't eat. And I just felt like I just wanted answers, and I wasn't getting anywhere. The doctor was just trying to medicate me and put my medication up, and they wouldn't listen to me that it's not working. So at this point, my husband at the time, he said, you're going to have to get an appointment and actually go in and see a doctor. Like, it's no good having the appointment over the phone. You need to go in. They need to see you. So I made it a doctor's appointment, went into the doctor for a sit-down appointment, went into the doctor's office, explained what was going on. This doctor had never seen me before, so I had to explain the whole situation all over again. And I broke down crying, because I was so frustrated at this point, and I was so depressed. I broke down crying, and he looked at me and he said, I'm not sure why you're crying. And he said, for the problem you've got, you're on the right medication. And he told me, you should be able to eat whatever you want to eat whilst being on the omeprazole. Because the reason I was sort of explaining to the doctor that the reason I'm so depressed is because, I'm going to things and I can't eat every day, but I'll go to a barbecue and all my friends and all my family are eating what they want and I can't eat. It was really depressing. And he turned around and said, well, I don't see why you're crying. You should be able to eat whatever you want to eat whilst you're on the omeprazole. And that made me worse, actually, because then I thought, well, he obviously knows, he's obviously seen this. So he's obviously seen people take omeprazole and be able to eat whatever they want to eat. So I'm thinking, why is it not working for me? And then he said, I can quite clearly see that you're depressed and anxious. So we'll put you on some anti-anxiety and anti-depression medicines whilst we're here. So I took the prescription for that and went and got my prescription for anti-anxiety and anti-depression tablets. Came home, started taking those, got side effects from those. The antidepressants made me feel awful, really strange. I had lots of like neuropathy issues from antidepressants, and I did that only for about a few days, and I thought that I'd persevere because I had heard about antidepressants that you need to take them for a couple of weeks before you start feeling the effects of them. At this point, I'm like super suicidally depressed. It was just the worst time of my life. I was in a very dark place, and I'd always classed myself as a foodie. When I look back now, I wasn't a foodie, I was a food addict, which I had no idea I was at the time. I just thought I'd loved food and I had a really big appetite, but the truth is I was just a food addict, and I had no idea. So anything food related to me, taking food away, that was my life. So taking food away hence made my life feel like it had literally ended, because food was my life. Food was a thing that I looked forward to. Food was everything, like, to me, honestly. So taking that away and not being able to eat literally made me suicidally depressed. So yeah, I'm at the lowest place in my life. And one day I got up and I went to take my antidepressant medicine, and I thought, do you know what? None of these medications are working. And at this point, I'm just at a pure frustration. I thought, what's the point in taking these? So that morning, I literally just got all my medication. I just put them all straight in the bin, because I thought, I'm not doing it. I thought, from now on, I will find out what's wrong with me. I will find out how to fix me. I'm not having these medication. I'm taking these and it's doing nothing. In fact, it's making me worse. So I put them all in the bin, and that day I set off and I thought I'll find myself a nutritionist. So I did that. There was a nutritionist not very far from me who I found on the internet. Had an appointment with her, and she was initially really, really good. So she was the first person to help me. So she was the first person to sit me down and listen to what I had to say. It was the first time in a long time I felt like I was listened to. She went through my whole history, my whole illness history, whether I was vaccinated, what food diary, what foods I'm eating. She went through absolutely everything with me. And I think I had about a 2-hour appointment, and I came away thinking, like, wow, someone's actually listened to me. When you go to the doctor, you have a 10-minute slot, and it's very rushed. You have to give your whole life story in 10 minutes, and you feel like it's, come on then, because the next person's coming in. You feel like it's a conveyor belt, whereas this nutritionist was the first person who actually listened to me. She said to cut out gluten and dairy, which I went away and did. And to be fair, that got rid of the lump in my throat feeling. So I came away and I started this diet. But she also told me to fill my plate with half a plate of vegetables and grains, small amount. If I'm going to have protein, she said to do a tiny amount, and only chicken and salmon, no red meat, and especially no fat. She said, if I have chicken, take the skin off. If I have salmon, take the skin off, no fat at all. So I came away and I did this. So I cut out all gluten and dairy, and I was having a plate full of food, and I was piling it with different vegetables, because I had gone into or believed the whole gut microbiome diversity thing, that if you're having more vegetables and a more diverse range of grains and vegetables, the more I'm feeding my gut microbiome and causing a diverse environment. So half of my plate was just filled with all different vegetables. And I was really, you hear the colours of the rainbow. So I was very aware of that and making sure I was having all different colours. On my plate, lots and lots of quinoa, rice, grains. I would have not pasta. I took out the gluten, but rice, quinoa, lots of different grains, and then I was having just a small portion of salmon or chicken, and taking the skin off. So I was eating that, I got better. Like I said, the lump in my throat went away. But I wasn't quite right. I was still reacting to food. So I did this diet for quite a long time because initially I did feel better. But then it got to the point where I was eating this, and to me that was, and from what she told me, that was the healthiest I could eat. I'm doing all this, but I'm still having reactions to food. Like my eyes would swell in the morning, my glands would swell. I was getting rashes, styes in my eyes, ulcers on my tongue. Like all of these reactions were happening, and I couldn't understand why. So the whole time I was under this nutritionist, and she was also a herbalist as well. So she started me on all these different herbal remedies, and then told me to juice celery, apples, carrots, smoothies. So then I was doing the berry smoothie, spinach in my smoothie, and all of these things that were healthy at the time. So I was having these, I started getting, the more I was doing this, the more severe reactions I was getting, and every morning I was just getting fed up. I would just wake up and I'm just like, oh, why? Like, I'm eating so healthy and I'm still getting all of these reactions. Another thing was my teeth would go, I can't describe it, a bit like chalky, really a horrible sensation in my mouth, which I now know is oxalates. It used to happen particularly after spinach. But I got to the point where it was just such a frustrating journey because, and I felt like I cut out all processed food, all dairy, all gluten, and I felt like I was doing the best I could, but not getting well. And it got to the point where I actually thought to myself, well, if I'm eating this healthy and I'm still reacting, I might as well eat a chocolate bar and react to that rather than, I want to eat a chocolate bar. I don't want to eat a carrot. So I'd rather, if I'm going to react to a carrot, I'd rather react to a chocolate bar. So it got to this point, and then that got me back in the whole processed food thing again, because I was just so disappointed that I tried, and I genuinely, hand on my heart, I was so in a place where I was going to do anything to get myself better. I never cheated once. So in my head, it's like I've done the best I can possibly do, but I'm still not well. Like, why? What is the matter with me? So anyway, late 2023 in March, I was still on this diet. So I had a little bit of a relapse of going back onto the junk food and deciding that I'm going to react to that rather than react to healthy food. But then I did give myself a bit of a kick at the bum, and I knew that I had to come off of the junk food, because as soon as I start the junk food again, I start to get this lump feeling back in my throat. So I go back onto the high fiber, the vegetables and the nutritionist diet and the juicing and the smoothies. And March 2023, I ended up in a hospital with appendicitis. I think I was pushing, well, I know now, I was pushing the fiber way too hard, and I was having such high fiber foods. I was even supplementing with inulin. So I'd be having porridge bowls. My diet at the time was basically porridge in the morning. I was having porridge as well a couple of times in a day because I was so hungry. So I was physically starving on this diet all the time. I was so hungry. I would fill my plate of a mealtime with veg and quinoa. After that, I'm still physically starving. So I would have then a bowl of porridge. And in that porridge, I would sprinkle in chia seeds and all almonds. I was eating cashews, and then I had this inulin supplement, inulin fiber, and I would put that all over. So yeah, I ended up in hospital with appendicitis, had an emergency operation to have my appendix out, came back home, and I had a long recovery. I really was not well at all. I think my body in a starved state, and then I'd had an operation, and I'd had antibiotics pumped into me, painkiller, all these meds, and obviously anesthetic. I came home after the operation. It took me a long time to recover. I was not well. A few weeks later, I'd got myself to a point where I started moving around the house, and I thought I can start to do a few more things now. Prior to that, I was just on the sofa. I couldn't get off the sofa. But this particular day, I decided I was going to cook a roast dinner for my family, because I hadn't cooked for that whole time. My mum had been in to help, but I hadn't done anything. So I thought I'll cook a dinner. It was a Sunday, so I decided to do a roast, and I decided to cook a roast lamb. And out in the kitchen, as you do, as you're cooking a roast, took the lamb out of the oven to baste it. And I always say, to this day, I literally can't. Maybe one day I will, but I can't put into words the feeling or the urge that I had when this lamb came out of the oven. This lamb came out covered in fat, just oozing, the smell of it, everything. And my body, every fiber of my being was saying, you need to eat that lamb, eat that lamb. And in my head, I'm going, I can't, because I've been told that I can't eat fat because fat's worse for the acid reflux. Can't have red meat. But my body was just saying, you need to eat it. You have to eat this lamb. Which led me then to Google, because I'm then like having this fight with my heart and my head going, no, can't eat that, don't eat it. And my heart going, you literally need that lamb. So I typed into Google, is eating fatty meat really that bad for you if you have acid reflux? The first 10 things that came up were acid reflux, and if you've got acid reflux, you avoid chocolate, coffee, red meat. And I scrolled down and I went on to page 2, and I'm still not 100% sure, but I do think that it might have been Dr. Kiltz's page that I found. And I found this page on carnivore diet, and I clicked on there and I started reading this page of all this information, and I thought, this is really interesting. And as I was reading, it was almost like the penny dropped. Everything just made sense on there, like the argument for why we're carnivore and eating meat. And I was reading it, I was like, that just makes so much sense. That's really obvious, but like it was unreal. And I started reading, and I kept reading more and more and more, and I just found it absolutely fascinating, and I was sold on that, to be honest. I then went onto YouTube and typed in carnivore diet, see if there's anything on there. And that is when our good friend Kerry came up. So he is about, I think, a month ahead of me on his journey. And I clicked on his video of I went carnivore for 30 days, I think it was. And this is what happened. I clicked on that and I listened to Kerry's story. And his story, and he will tell you the same, is so similar to mine. He went through a lot of the same things as what I went through. And he was there saying, I was on this medication, I don't need that anymore, I don't need this anymore, this has healed, this has got better, this has got better. And then from then on, I saw his video and I was sold anyway, but then I just went down, I think, the rabbit hole that everybody then goes down, because you're onto something. And I'm like, that's it now. And I was like this, like blinkers on, nothing else in the world mattered. Like at the time, my poor children were just, because I was just in my phone, like, this carnivore diet like is amazing. And I had to find out everything that I possibly could about this diet. So I went down the rabbit hole of finding more and more stories, reading the comments of these videos, and then like in the comments, people saying, I healed this. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. This has to be the thing for me. And like I said, I was at a point where I was going to try anything because I had nothing left to lose. I was desperate, in a state of desperation. So I don't do things by halves, and I'm very much an all in or all out person. I don't prepare or anything, so I didn't feel the need to prepare. I was just like, right, that's it. I'm carnivore now. I'm going carnivore. And next morning I woke up, had lamb chops for breakfast, and the rest is history.
Well, first of all, George is right. You are absolutely amazing and you're beautiful. Look at you. You're absolutely gorgeous.
Thank
I'm
you.
just, this is one of those stories that I love to hear. So just to review, you had asthma and ulcers and arthritis type symptoms, tinnitus, athlete's foot, a lump in your throat, styes in your eyes, tongue ulcers, chalky teeth from all the oxalates. You were 98 pounds. You had me at the very first word. I cannot, I hear this story and I can never hear enough of these kinds of stories, and how you turned around just by feeding your body what it was craving, what it was crying out for, which was just the nutrition. And I wrote it in the comments as you were chatting. So many of us have been told we need to eat fruits and vegetables. It's been repeated so many times that it's like we believe it as gospel. And it's so hard to explain to people that we don't. Not only do we not need fruits and vegetables, but they have a lot of oxalates and lectins and phytates and anti-nutrients and all those issues that you had with the lumps in your tongue and the styes in your eye came from those plant toxins. Some people are more susceptible to them than others, and you are very, very vulnerable to them, obviously. So my question that came up as you were talking was, when you were at the point where you had the lump in your throat because of the acid creating the scar tissue and the burns, and you lost all that weight, how did you get any nutrition in at that, whatever that time frame was? I mean, did you have a straw? Did you drink things? How did you get some nutrition in you?
Yeah, so I was drinking, and honestly, the only thing at the time that I was eating, which is no nutrition, is Weetabix with milk, and I would mush it down. Sometimes I'd heat it up with sugar as well, with lots of sugar on.
What is it?
And that was all I was eating. So,
what is that?
so it's basically, it's cereal. It's just a block of wheat and sugar, essentially, and I put milk on it, and it makes it all soft. Yeah, and that's all that I could eat. And then I would also, as well, in between, I would make a cup of tea or coffee. I could drink liquid fine, a cup of tea or coffee, and I would dip biscuits in to make them soggy, and that would be mushy, so I could get those out. And that was all I was eating. That was all I could manage to eat. So the answer to the nutrition is I was probably having zero.
Right. Oh, wow. Wow. You are a testament to the carnivore diet for sure. Anybody listening. And another thing that I noticed is, and I've mentioned this before too, you were looking. You went down the rabbit hole. You frantically said, I'm going to Google and I'm going to find something. And you found Kerry Mann. And then you found Dr. Kiltz. And I mentioned this all the time on our channel. People who are looking are going to find people like them and us. And that's why we are on here today. Anybody listening, we have 31 people listening right now. Somebody may be hearing your story right this minute who needs to hear something. And then they're going to make a change. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. It's just powerful.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I can't believe you have 4 kids. I have a very
three.
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 I have a three even, because I know you through George, but I'm like, oh, she's 20. I looked at you and thought, oh, she's much younger than I thought. And you do look much younger than you are. So I have a very reactive face. And the other thing you said, and I chuckled a little bit, and I'm sure you didn't notice, but it's interesting how I'm going to talk to the females. If you're a female and you go to your doctor and you break down and cry for any reason, you're on antidepressants. I guarantee it. I mean, when you said that, I just smiled, because I've had the same experiences where the doctor's like, I'm going to, prescribe you something. And I'm like, I'm already on antidepressants. This is just frustration. So
yeah. Unfortunately, they don't see the bigger picture, and all doctors want to do, as we all know on here, is prescribe, and like, they genuinely don't know what to do. If they're not prescribing, they don't know. So as soon as I went in and broke down, all they can see is, oh, she needs help. Antidepressants, that's just the thing. And I genuinely believe that doctor probably was trying to help me, but and it's not necessarily their fault. They don't know. That's how they're trained, and they're trained to prescribe, but they just he couldn't see the bigger picture. Like, I knew that I wasn't a depressive person. I never have been. I knew why I was depressed, and I was depressed because I was not very well. I was ill, and all this was having an effect on me. So I was depressed because of this reason, not because I'm just a depressed person. That wasn't the case. But yeah, all doctors want to do is prescribe.
Yeah.
And they don't ask what are you eating, right? Did any doctors ever ask you, what are you eating that might be causing these symptoms? Not once.
You know what? I missed that part out, actually. I usually tell people this, but they asked me if I smoked, and they asked me if I drank alcohol, but not one doctor, until I went to the nutritionist, asked me what my diet was like. Not one doctor the whole time.
Wow. Sorry, Juliet.
No. I was just curious how you met George. George is always of an interest to me.
Okay, Lauren, should we share the story?
Yeah, I'll leave that with you, George. You reached out to me, didn't you?
It was me that reached out to you on October the 30th of 2023, because I'd literally just seen your Dave Mack. You gave Dave Mack the interview, I think, in October of 23, and I saw it, and I found out that you came from Somerset in England, and I come from Somerset in England, and I was able to reach out to you via your email, which it was when you were farmer's wife, farming life back in those days. And we exchanged emails. It was, and we established that we were both basically very lonely carnivores at the time. I think you had one or two friends more than me, but I only had one friend in the carnivore community who was in Jarrell, Texas, Carnivore Soldier, Larry Allhands. And we were sort of trying to work out how we could sort of meet up with each other. Lainey was a bit suspicious, because she at this time was still of the belief that carnivore was a cult, and that you and I were going to skip off to America, taking all our money with us together. And so Lainey kind of said, just be a bit careful. But what we did is you recruited me to a tiny WhatsApp group that you had, along with Adam, Polly, and one other. I can't remember who it was now. But we
Paul,
were tiny.
Paul, can't remember what it's called now. Paul.
No,
Paul.
No. It wasn't Paul, UK Carnivore guy. I'll tell you how I knew that, because you then linked up with Paul. He had a slightly bigger WhatsApp group. Paul, UK Carnivore.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, and then you said to Adam, me, and the other chap, I can't remember who it was now, do you mind if we merge with Paul? And we said, of course, said no. So we merged with Paul in November of 2023 to get a 10-person WhatsApp group. I then found Carl, and we recruited Carl. So going 2023 into 24, the UK community, as far as we were concerned, consisted of 11 people, 11 lonely carnivores that had come together. And now here we are, some 2.25 years later. And now we have friends around. We are global personalities around the world, because obviously, as you know, I'm the UK ambassador now to the world, because I'm the USA and also to Australia. I've got friends in France and the Netherlands now through Dr. Kiltz. You are going to be coming to a movie theatre near everybody fairly soon, because you are one of the faces of Healing Humanity. You're very good friends with Kerry Mann. You're very good friends with the entire Healing Humanity team, and with Dr. Kiltz as well, of course, who I know that you have consulted quite a lot over on the subjects of fasting. Yeah, so we have gone from two lonely English carnivores on October the 30th, 23. We have come through together. We have organised the first Great British Meetup together. We are now in the process of organising the second Great British Meetup together. And we are this year, we're calling it the Great British Meetup, but it's actually going to be an international meetup. For we have Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Nelson, Coach Juliet, Coach Angela Mullins. I've forgotten somebody and I can't think who it is. Oh, Angela Lero, our friend Angela Lero, she's coming. And possibly Alia. And I've forgotten somebody and I can't remember who the devil is now. But we have a large American contingent coming over. I'm hoping to get some more people. It's still 3 months. There's still tickets available.
I is all booked, George.
Yeah, it's all books,
Nice.
and yeah, and also from the
Yeah.
English side, Lainey is just shouting at me, "I'm going to be there." So yeah, so Coach Lainey Goodenough is going to be there because she is now a Kilts Health coach herself, as will Coach Jackie Fletcher, who is also going to be there. So yeah, it's going to be an international meetup. Barbara's going to be providing the music. Barbara wrote your song, "The Lamb That Saved Her." So Louise is now putting together the meetup playlist. Lauren will lead the dancing as she did last year because you cannot keep Lauren off the dance floor.
Try and stop me.
Last year you were supported by Stephen Laney, but I'm told that it's virtually impossible to keep Dr. Robert Kilts off the dance floor. So at least you'll have a dancing partner for this occasion, Lauren. Yeah, so that's the story of me and Lauren. October the 30th, 2023, two lonely carnivores. I actually met Lauren for the first time in April of last year, 25, when I drove the 28 miles, and I did put in comments that you're in your kitchen, a place that I now know well. And the last time I was there, it smelt of homebred roast topside of Aberdeen Angus, and that was absolutely fabulous. It really was. It was very fatty and very enjoyable. And we had a nice day out at your house. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing you again. One point that you haven't mentioned, Lauren, which might be relevant, is you have gone away and got a new skill. And Stephanie and her sister, I can't remember, Nikki have visited you for this purpose. And Lainey is talking about it in the not too distant future as well. So would you like to tell us about the new skill that you have acquired?
So actually I think it might be 3, just over 2 years ago, my youngest boy started school, and I was then at a bit of a loose end because I'm like, for the past 10 years I've had a toddler beside me or somebody beside me, and then all of a sudden nobody beside me, and it was a real moment where I just had no idea what to do. I felt like I lost my purpose, and I was just at a bit of a loose end. Alongside of this, I had noticed in the recent times that every time I've been with my family or my friends, that I had noticed, I don't know if it's just because I'd become aware of it or what, but I'd noticed everybody complaining about symptoms and illnesses, which got me thinking I can help these people. Are you going to wave, William? This is William. Hello. Hello. Go on. Hello. Which made me think I can help people. When I tried with family, I'm sure many people can attest, family is very difficult because I would tell them I can help you and tell them what to do, and then they would almost be like, well, why would I listen to you? Because you're not a doctor, you're not trained, or you're not medically trained. And then same with friends. And then I thought, but if I was trained, I thought maybe people would listen to me. So I thought back to when I was seeing my nutritionist. I did mention this in the story, but part of my journey, I went to have a food intolerance test to find out what I was intolerant to, which brought up for me yeast and sugar, which points to candida. I had terrible candida overgrowth. And then I got thinking, I thought, I wonder if I could train to be a food intolerance tester. So I contacted the lady who tested me, and she gave me the contact for who trained her. And then I got into that, and I thought, I'm going to do that. And that way I thought I can help people. People that are suffering with problems can come to me, and I can now be their teacher. I did look at studying to be a nutritionist, but the nutrition training went against sort of everything, I believe. The nutritionists are trained very much in the vegetables and the fibre and the smoothies and the juicing. And I really didn't know if I could endure that, to be honest. So I went down the food intolerance testing route, which I now do, and I now have my own little business from home doing that and testing people for food intolerances. So people come to me, quite often they're in a desperate state that I was in. And I'm able to, that's the most important thing that I pride myself on, is listening, because that was so important to me. So they'll come to me and they have an hour of my time, and I will even go over that hour if necessary, as long as they have my time and me to listen. That to me is the most important thing. And I think people do go away feeling like very grateful for having someone listen to them. But I know from my own experience how important that is. So that is one of my big things that I will sit and listen, even if they've got to tell me a big story for an hour before I even test them. I will sit and listen to them. So yeah, I test for food intolerances, and obviously that's not always telling people to go carnivore. I don't necessarily tell people to go carnivore, actually, because sometimes when they're coming from such a from a standard American diet, telling somebody to go carnivore or mention it can frighten a lot of people. It's very strict, and it's a lot to cut out in one go, and a lot of people can't handle that. So I will identify their intolerances. They will go away and cut out those things, and they feel better just by doing that. But it's incremental changes, and they quite often I will get somebody that comes in that reminds me of myself, and I know the ones that I can approach the subject of carnivore or keto even. I just get a feeling of the ones that I know that need that and the ones that don't. So I always know when people leave me whether they're going to go away and put something into practice or not. But yeah, occasionally I'll get the people who I do mention carnivore to. I'll just say, have you heard of the carnivore diet? Because they seem like they're at a state of desperation where they would try anything. So yeah, it's just my way of helping people and helping people get better.
That's phenomenal. That is fantastic. Is it hard not to share with the people that don't want to hear it, because you have the answer? You have their answer for them, and yet you want to stick with just these are the things we found from the test only. Now go out the door. I mean, you want to tell them more, right?
Sometimes it's really difficult, and I get so many people that come in that still don't know the answer, and they'll say things to me like, but I don't understand it because my diet is so healthy, and they'll say, oh, I'm putting seeds on my breakfast, and I have this and this, and I'm like, oh, that's not healthy. But it's really you've got to be very selective with the people that you share what you share with, because some people you could mention that seeds aren't healthy, and you could be there another 2 hours like with them going, no, well it is, don't be so stupid, like seeds are healthy. Like it's very difficult, but I've got to know now when I can bring it up, when I can't. Sorry about the background noise.
That's all right. No, that's wisdom right there. You know when to speak, when to be a really good listener. I love that you said that listening is number one. People want to be heard. People want to be listened to. They feel validated. And so you're going to get them and their confidence when you do that for that hour or whatever. And then if you say something that maybe they wouldn't have listened to before because you listened to them, right? You're gaining their respect, and maybe they'll listen to you. And you can talk about the spinach and the oxalates and all the things that we now know, like chia seeds, all those things that have oxalates.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of times I get people when I get a feeling that they are going to listen, and I do tell them these things, if they're suffering with arthritis or whatever, and I'll say, well, spinach, like those sorts of things, oxalates, high oxalates are not great for that. And they will then be the ones who are like, oh, that's interesting. Why is that? And then you can go down a little bit further. So I always know the ones who are going to be interested, or the ones who are just gonna, I'm wasting my time telling. And I think the more people I see, I've just got better at judging.
You can sense that. Yeah,
when to mention it and when to not. Yeah, but the bottom line is, even if they come to me and they're just cutting out their food intolerances, that's the first step. And Most people, they'll take out their food intolerance is what they come up with. And I get emails and messages from people all the time saying, like, thank you, you've changed my life. And that's just purely taking out their food intolerance, not even having to go carnivore. So it's these incremental changes. And once you plant the seed in somebody's head, once they've then gone away and gone, I feel so much better for taking out a food, you then open up this you planted the seed and you open up their mind to other things then. So then, like you said, then you can they might come back to me and they might then listen to something else I have to say. You've just planted that seed and they figured out for themselves that just by removing one food or a couple of foods that they feel so much better, and have then got the they can make the link between what they're eating and how they're feeling.
Beautiful. Anyone in the chat have a question? We have lots of wonderful comments. All these great people are saying hi and wishing you well, Lauren, and applauding you. Anybody have a question for Lauren?
I don't know if we're waiting. I'll just go back to last year's meetup when we were lucky enough, Lauren and myself, to be selected by the committee, by us in other words, to actually speak. So Lauren and I both spoke on the stage. And when we were waiting for our turn, we sat next to each other watching Stephanie. And Stephanie's story is so emotional that basically, I think, well, I looked at Lauren looked at me, and we were both in tears.
Yeah.
We were both like reaching for the tissues. So that was a remarkable story. One of my favorite. I've got some brilliant photographs from that meetup. And you and Stephanie is definitely one of my favorites. And I've got all the photographs of us on stage individually, and some great ones of you on the dance floor as well, Lauren. So yeah, it was a fabulous meetup. Very much enjoyed that. But I'll never forget that you and I sat next to each other. I heard you sniff, and that just started me off. And we looked at each other. We were both very emotional. So yeah, it was a very emotional occasion.
I think it's like that, isn't it? Once one person goes, that's it. It's the floodgates are open then.
Well,
everyone's gone.
It was Steph herself, wasn't it? She started crying during her speech, and somebody had to go and get a tissue for her. And then I heard you go, and that was it. It just set me off as well. That was it was quite a remarkable, but very emotional roller coaster that day, which I'm sure we'll get next year. And I see Louise has just turned up. She does have an excuse because it is Mother's Day, and Louise will be on the committee with us this year. So we have 3 committee members for of the 5. Yeah, we could almost have a committee meeting now, Lauren, couldn't we? And get a few motions. Anyway, so that's just my thoughts. Anybody got a question from the crowd? No, I think you've explained.
I have one that popped up. We have about 8 minutes, but Lauren, you talked about when you finally, your body shouted to you to eat the lamb and the fatty lamb. What are you eating these days? I'm sure it's more than lamb. What do you have on a daily basis?
So I know that I thrive on just beef and lamb, so essentially lion diet. That's where I thrive. However, I don't always stick to that. I do occasionally. I really fancy some chicken or some pork. So, and I do a lot of traveling now. So when I'm out and about and traveling, we found lots of nice restaurants and different supermarkets and things where we can buy different things. So I would have prawns that are like pre-packaged, that are very clean, that are just literally prawns and salt, sliced meats. But I look for the cleanest that I can find. And I'm very strict actually with what's in things. I will have nitrates. I'm not frightened of nitrates. So a bacon and then any sort of cured pork is always a go-to for me. But yeah, mainly beef and lamb. And if I do I do every now and then do a period of just beef and lamb. And that is where I am optimal, like super optimal. And I don't feel anything like I feel if I come off of just beef and lamb. However, I do like to mix it up, and I do like to have pork chicken as well. I love chicken skin. I love this evening I have pork belly. I just love the fat, how it goes all crispy on pork belly. So yeah, mainly beef and lamb, but I do throw in the odd pork day or chicken day. I have just recently cut down the amount that I'm eating, because I can eat a lot. I actually eat more than most men. I found out. I didn't really know that. But most men that I speak to are like, wow, you eat way more than me. I was doing over 1 kilo of meat a day. So I've now brought this down, and I've now gone to 1 meal a day. I'm just trialing that at the moment. I've only been on this for the past week. Trialing 1 meal a day, and in that 1 meal I'm having 500 grams, whereas before I was eating twice a day and I was having 500 grams in each meal. So I was eating 1 kilo, and I've now just gone to the 1 meal, which is 500 grams, and to see if that makes any difference.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Lauren, Juliet, am I right in thinking you've never had lamb? Juliet?
Sorry, I'm responding to viewers. Yeah, no, I grew up with veal, but I like ground lamb or anything like that. I haven't.
Have you had lamb over in the States at all? Yourself?
Veal isn't veal lamb?
No, veal,
No.
beef.
Veal's a little calf, the baby calf.
No,
Yeah,
I
so-
never had lamb.
Yeah, the reason
Wow.
I'm asking is because
That's
basically, I'll tell Lauren, Juliet's coming over to spend her holiday with us this year in Somerset, and she's never had lamb. So it is absolutely my intention
You're
to
gonna love
introduce her to lamb.
Oh,
Do you want to
Yeah.
tell? Do you want to tell Juliet about lamb and our American friends about lamb?
Yeah, I live in a small town in Missouri, and we have 2 grocery stores, and I've never seen lamb anywhere. And we are beef cattle area, so I think that's probably why. But tell me, Lauren.
yeah, no, it's absolutely delicious, and I think lamb will now always, because that was what I was cooking and that's what led me here. I think that will always be my number 1 now. I love it because it's fatty, really fatty, and the skin seems to crisp up as well. So I don't know, it's just a completely different flavor. But yeah, if you're coming over, we'll definitely get you on that one.
Yeah,
Oh, that'll be
We'll
fun.
get you on that.
I can say that Lainey and I were discussing this earlier, and the plan is to have a lamb feast one night for Juliet and her husband Doug to introduce her to the delights of lamb. So that is the
Yummy.
plan.
You're gonna love it, Juliet. I love lamb. It's wonderful.
Everyone does. I have
Yeah.
never read in law anywhere that people.
I wonder why it's not available where you live. I mean, I've had it here in Maryland, Pennsylvania. We have it.
Yeah, well, you're back east. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Springfield is here, and the next closest, areas are Kansas City and St. Louis, both 3 hours each direction. So it is really a small town. I'm sure I could get it online or something, but when you have to try it first to know if you want 15 pounds of it.
We are at the top of our hour. This has just flown by. This really has. Lauren, you've been such a wonderful guest. You've given people so much to think about, and people who are looking for answers. Your story is just amazing. We're going to go around, do our clockwise again, and tell us where we can find you and connect with you and your work. We'll start with Juliet.
Yes, you can find me on YouTube at Coach Juliet Edens, or I change the name all the time, but you'll find me. And my website is coachjulietedens.com. And socials usually are Juliet. You could find me anywhere, but I'm usually on the lives all over the place. And thanks for coming, everyone. It's a great turnout. Lauren, everyone is singing your praises. Awesome guest.
Thank you.
They are. Carnivore Teacher Alpha on YouTube and all the social media sites. You can find me there. I'm on here Sunday. I'm on a Monday night live as well at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And I do interviews. I have one coming up this Wednesday with a truck driver, really interesting. So check out my channel, and you'll see stories like Lauren's. Just amazing. George is one of my stories. Juliet, we have so many people. Did I interview you, Juliet? Just you and me? You did me. Yeah. I don't even remember. I've done so many, and just as many as I can get out there, because the variety. There's so many people healing on Carnivore.
You interviewed me, John.
I did. I'm trying to remember that. I'm forgetting them all. George, sir.
Yeah, okay. So, George Goodenough, I do have a YouTube channel called Good Enough for You. Please don't bother, because I've mothballed it.
No.
I am so busy elsewhere in the carnivore world that I'm not doing anything with it at the moment. You will find me, George Goodenough, on Facebook. I've quietened down on there, but I do check in once every couple of days. So if there's any messages for me, I do use Messenger. which is very convenient. So you can always find me on Facebook. Other than that, like Juliet said, you can find me everywhere. I'm around all the carnivore, especially the lives. I don't tend to watch the recorded interviews so much anymore, but you will find me on with DC on a Australian Saturday morning, which means it's late at night here in the UK, which means it's Friday evening for you guys in the US of A. On Sunday morning, Saturday into Sunday for you guys at about 2 a.m. in the morning, you will find me with Grandma's Crochet Corner. I go on live every Sunday morning and give her the update for the week. And invariably, you will find me nearly invariably on with Dr. Kiltz on his live on a Sunday, because he is always looking for people to join. And I think people are a little bit nervous, and it ends up with, hey, George, do you mind coming and joining me? As I did today, which was good fun. And then obviously I am on Carnivore Sunday School every week up to now since last June. However, I can announce it now. I will be taking a back seat in the not too distant future, but I will remain part of the team, but on the substitute bench and in the back room. But that won't be for another couple of weeks yet. So that will become clearer nearer the time. And that's it, really. Yeah, I'm found everywhere. Lauren, over to you.
Well, I'm not on YouTube anymore. I gave that up a little while ago. But I do, for those of you who are aware of Richard Smith, I have a school group with him, and we go live on a Sunday evening. So we're live 8 o'clock this evening, 6 p.m. on a Monday and 7 p.m. on a Wednesday for question and answers. Anybody that knows Richard Smith will know that he's very, very knowledgeable. But we just have a friendly community there for anybody who is looking to go into it or is keto or carnivore. We have a school group that you can join. We currently actually do have a 7-day free trial. So if anybody's interested to see what it's like, to come and have a look, do the free trial, see how you get on. And obviously, if you like it, you can then sign up. But yeah, we're there Sunday, Monday, Wednesday evenings for Q&As. Not on YouTube anymore. And for those of you who know about Healing Humanity, I will be on there.
Do we know when that movie's coming out? Do we have a date yet?
It's the premiere is this year, but we're not quite sure when.
Okay.
So we're not 100% sure. Obviously, we'll do the premiere before the movie comes out, or documentary comes out. But I don't think anybody's quite 100% sure on that yet. They're still doing the final. They're finalising, yeah. So, I'm sure it will be this year.
The latest news from last Thursday night, I wasn't able to make my role as UK ambassador. I was too tired. However, we do have the excellent Grandma's Crochet Corner, who has just actually confirmed it, because she was on the Zoom call with Kerry on Thursday. They are talking about summertime. There's one or two minor legal points to be overcome, apparently. But yeah, basically summertime this year, and we are looking at the premieres of Healing Humanity, of which Lauren is one of the stars, which is great. So we have a star of Healing Humanity on with us. Yay. Wow, we've had Linda Vokey as well. Actually, she's also a star of Healing Humanity. So yeah, we move in movie circles here, shall we say?
That's fantastic. All right, my friends, everyone, thank you again. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone who's watching, check us out next Sunday. We have another special guest coming on next week. We hope to see you then. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.